The Deus Ex franchise has seen many ups and downs throughout its lifespan, from almost becoming a command and conquer RPG to the closure of Iron Storm, to Square Enix, to Adam Jensen's unfinished story. The Deus Ex saga sure is a doozy. It is one with a very tumultuous history, and you would probably think this franchise is cursed. But here we are, the franchise is still popular and beloved among gamers, and still going somewhat strong in the 2020s thanks to its passionate community. Oh, where are my viewers? I think I've forgotten to say hi to you all. Welcome to the first official video on the Deus Ex Hub YouTube channel. Yeah, I know technically speaking this is the second video, but I guess you can say that the first one was just there to test the waters. You see, the Deus Ex Hub is only being run by one person, me, and I'm not very familiar when it comes to using YouTube as a content creator. But given the shenanigans happening on Twitter/X as of the past year and a half, I have thought about expanding my activities outside of Twitter. However, the creation of the YouTube channel does not alienate the Twitter page. Twitter is where I started and is where I remain most active, but topics that are better suited for video formats will be discussed here. Which brings me to today's topic. We are slowly approaching a full decade since the last release of a Deus Ex game. In fact, if this year goes by without any new releases, it is going to mark the longest gap in between games in the history of the series. The franchise is currently under the ownership of its developer Eidos Montreal, which in turn is owned by Embracer Group. As of late, words have spread claiming that a remake of the original Deus Ex is in development. When the franchise was gobbled up by Embracer in 2022, the company at the time expressed interest in making sequels, remakes, and spin-offs of the IPs it bought from Square Enix. Fast forward to 2024, and so far nothing has been announced in regards to Deus Ex officially. I don't like to spread rumors or leaks, but since I think some of the details are worth highlighting and others are worth discussing to arrive to some sort of a sensible conclusion from a fan's perspective, this is what pushed me to make the video in the first place. Now, to give some context, the source of this rumor comes from a random post on 4chan, which is not a very reliable place for information for the most part. Plus, when your favorite video game franchise has nothing new to offer for nearly a decade, any slight hint of information about a new game in a series is enough to raise a few eyebrows. The rumor basically consists of two parts. The first one details the remake is currently being developed, but it does not explain at what stage of development the game is currently at. Is it early development, midway, or late stages of development? The rumor goes on to suggest that the remake is being developed using Unreal Engine 5 and it is not being developed by Eidos Montreal. Okay. The next part goes on to say that the Adam Jensen games have been scrapped. Okay. This is where things start to get a bit hazy for me, because it does not explain if the storyline of the Jensen games will not be integrated into the remake's narrative, or if the entire universe established by Eidos Montreal's Deus Ex games has been scrapped altogether. Maybe to pave the way for a new reboot or something? Anyway, it's just me speculating. In a reply to a comment, the OP goes on to give more details, stating that the Eidos Montreal studio is working on a new Deus Ex game, which they don't know much about, but it is far from being released anytime soon. As for the remake, it is set to be announced and released within a year and a half, with a trailer coming around March, as the remake is in late stages of development. So I guess this answers my question about what stage of development the remake is going through, but we still don't know who is doing the bulk of the development on it. Personally, I find this rumor to combine the best and worst of my hopes for the future of Deus Ex. A future that continues to carry additional weight on its owners as every year goes by since Mankind Divided released. And I definitely recommend that you take all this with a grain of salt. Eidos Montreal is a studio that rarely comments on rumors or speculation regarding their projects, and I expect them to remain silent on this one. Although I'd be happy to know if they have any plans they want to share in regards to Deus Ex. But given everything happening at parent company Embracer with the studio closures and massive layoffs, I would not be surprised if anything planned for Deus Ex got cancelled. But hypothetically speaking, if we were to assume that this remake is not getting cancelled and it releases next year, it would coincide with the 25th anniversary of Deus Ex, which makes the release window set by this rumor seem somewhat plausible if idols have anything planned for the occasion, or it's just a lucky guess by the leaker. When it comes to the remake of the original game, I know some members in the community are completely against the idea of remaking the original game in the first place. However, in my humble opinion, I think it would be a good opportunity to give the series some much needed spotlight as well as make it more accessible for fans on modern systems. I do have some concerns that there might be any changes in the game's story as other fans may do. I would prefer if they just do a fresh layer of paint or just improve the graphics alongside some improvements and tweaks to the gameplay to bring the game on par with today's standards. But I do hope that they do not change anything story related. If anything that needs fixing in Deus Ex 1, it is the clunky controls layout and the enemy AI, as those are probably the worst aspects that have aged poorly the most in the vanilla game. As for who is handling development on the game, I am a little curious on this front, to be honest, because currently there is a remaster of the classic Tomb Raider games that is set to be released next month, which has been positively received so far. And Tomb Raider was one of the IPs bought by Embracer from Square with Deus Ex, but at the end, they are still separate IPs with separate studios and separate plans. Anyway, whoever is doing the job, I just hope they do it justice and retain the charm of the game. Moving on to the last point of discussion in my video today, and it is letting go of Adam Jensen's storyline. And provided this part of the rumor is true, does it really make sense to let go of Adam Jensen at this point? Deus Ex and Adam Jensen in particular is a character that is very popular among fans, and not only he helped put Eidos Montreal on the map, but also contributed to bringing back Deus Ex from a long hiatus with Human Revolution, marking one of the best video game franchises comebacks of all time, and building up on that legacy with Mankind Divided. His voice actor Elias Tufexas became synonymous with the character wherever he goes. Obviously, Adam's story is still unfinished, and Elias himself, being a fan of Deus Ex first and foremost, is among the biggest supporters of continuing the story. The possibility of discontinuing Adam's story would be a devastating blow to the community who have invested much of their time playing the games and bombarding Eidos Montreal with requests of another game that wraps up his story for the last 8 years. I personally would love to play as Adam one last time. He introduced me to the series, and it would really suck to have Mankind Divided be the last time we see him in the Deus Ex saga. I think whether you like his character or not, there is no denying that Adam Jensen has become the face of Deus Ex over the last 10 to 13 years. He gained so much popularity and became one of gaming's most iconic protagonists. Yes, many years have passed since Mankind Divided, and some people would probably argue that there is no point in continuing his story, but we have seen sequels released to originals that launched more than 10 years ago before in the games industry, and with a recent example being Alan Wake 2. And while most of the team who worked on Mankind Divided are no longer at Eidos, I know that the few that remain at the studio at least share the same sentiment as us fans do. And for all fresh faces there, I am excited to see what you bring to the table. So come on, Eidos Montreal, are you really willing to let go of Adam Jensen that easy? You guys spent a decade crafting his story, starting from Human Revolution up until A Criminal Past. Please don't let all that effort go for nothing. Since you are all about crafting emotions, please give Adam a proper closure. You owe us, and Adam deserves this. It's been a very humbling experience, and I would like to make use of this opportunity to apologize for the lack of content over the last 2 years especially. I know I haven't been that much active, but I try to do my best when it comes to running this page, as well as, well, the new YouTube channel. Having a job and at the same time being a community manager is not easy, so I'm trying to do my best. And again, thank you for your support. It is very, very, very important to me, and Hopefully this year we can hear some news about Deus Ex, as we desperately need to hear something. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and have a great rest of your day.